welcome to your high school sports. I'm your host, Roddy Woods, along with Chris Blevins off the cruise, Chris Reddick, and Jake Nichols in his corner. Hey, guys, you know what time it is.
Playoff time, man.
Finally.
I get my 6 ball.
Wait.
See?
Yeah, you got the whole stuff.
Hey, watch out there. All right, let's start out, because some things happened last week that really upset the apple cart. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like Crockett losing to Morristown East. Never should have happened. But let's go check in with Jake and see what's happening in Southwest Virginia, because they got one more week of regular season play.
They do in the regular season. To start this week for Southwest Virginia, we're looking at Patrick Henry right now. They're 6-4 in Region 1D, coming off a big 16-13 win over Chilhowie in that Hoga-Higi district. A big showdown there and a big win for Patrick Henry as we go into Week 10 in the Commonwealth. Also looking at Pikeville right now. They're 10-0. And they are coming off a 67-28 win over Ridgeview this past week, so a very big win there for Pikeville going into this week. Also, going back to Patrick Henry for a moment, forgot to mention this, but with a win at Northwood next week, they would clinch their first district title since 1997. So a big incentive as we go into this week for the Patrick Henry Rebels. So going on past Patrick Henry and Pikeville, also looking at Narrows out of Region 1C. They are 10-0 right now for the Green Waves. A 47-0 win over Bath County this past week. They face 3-6 McClure this next week on Friday to close out their regular season. And then also looking at Virginia High, they got their first win of the season this past week, 47-12. Over Marion, so a big win for them. But they face 6-4 Richlands this week, so looking for Richlands to get a win there. Also looking at Holston, they clinched a playoff bid this past week with a 40-22 win over East Side. So a big win there for the Cavaliers, their third straight win and a very monumental one. 374 total yards of offense for them in this game last week, and then just a lot of production on the ground for them as well. Also a big win for Union over Abingdon, 2 overtimes in that game, 28-21 win for Union. The final, Mason Polier, definitely a big impact player in that game for Union. Had 3 touchdowns, an interception, and was just all over the field for them this past week. And then lastly, Union going to face John Battle this next week as we get closer to the postseason for the Commonwealth of Virginia.
All right, Jake. Hey, Southwest Virginia, a lot of things going on up there. A lot of things could happen this week. That sets up a lot of great scenarios for that playoff. You know, they always get a week behind, but we're talking TSSAA playoff. It's postseason. All right, I'm going to start with you down there.
Well, Lakeway area had a little rough stretch, but we did talk a little about East beating Davy Crockett, which is really big. I mean, a 1-point victory. I mean, Davy Crockett here, I mean, not sure what's going on. They've had a little tough ending to their season, but, you know, it sets them up for success. I mean, you know, they're going to play South Dual coming up, right? So, or South Dual, but Cherokee, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But you know, Crockett's going to play Central, which is going to be a tough matchup for Crockett, too. So, hopefully they got a little something else left. But Morristown East beating Crockett there at the end, that's a good way to end the season there with Slover there.
It's huge. Well, like you said, we talked a little bit about this. You know, do you think that Crockett's like, okay, we're going into the playoffs. I know you don't want to go into the playoffs on a losing note, but you're in the playoffs. Are they dangerous? Is Crockett dangerous?
Well, you know, anytime you got a team like Crockett, they're going to be dangerous. I mean, let's think of the weapons they got. They've got someone who's possibly could be the all-time leading, you know, passer in the state of Tennessee. So anytime you got, and then, you know, when you got weapons like Prince and Hackler at receiver, which are like 6'2", 6'3" type receiver. I mean, just that alone, they got a great running back. I mean, the offense is very powerful. Earlier in the season, they put 60 points plus on Science Hill. So anytime you got a dangerous offense like that, it's anybody's game. But the problem with Crockett, and the reason why they're having some problems they've had in the last 3 weeks, And I said this at the beginning of the season, their defense is not quite the same as it was last year. They've lost some key players from defense. And the team, if you look at the team across the board, their numbers is really not that heavy, even though they're 5-8.
Sure.
Their numbers aren't that heavy as well. So, as the season goes, it starts taking a toll on you. And other teams, remember, are getting better. So, yes, to answer your question, can Crockett be dangerous? Yes, but unfortunately, like you just mentioned, they've got a tough test on their first game.
Another team from your area, Cherokee.
Yeah, Cherokee's going to be playing South Doyle. It kind of goes right in with Crockett a little bit, too. I mean, it could, if, Crockett wins up to the third round, Cherokee was to win up, or South Dole, they're going to meet again. So they got a tough road to go down the next couple of weeks here. But playoffs, you don't play any.
That's
no
right.
scrubs in the playoffs, man.
It's like when you get in the playoffs, it's a whole new season.
Oh yeah.
It's a whole new season. Everybody is on an even kill, 0-0. It's like we talked about Fulton. Fulton getting in the playoffs, beating on Ridge last week. They're 3-7.
Yeah.
But me and Christoph, I wouldn't want to play Fulton.
No, see, that's what I'm saying. You got teams like that are dangerous at this
But I'll tell you
time
somebody
of
who
year.
don't play there is Powell.
No.
Well, no, we knew that.
Hey, but this is the first time we've talked about them in a couple of years being so and they're 10 and they are ready to play.
Yeah, they are.
And anybody that sees them, like Powell's got Lenore City. I mean, of course they're going to be, but then you got Fulton. They're going to, Powell and Fulton. I mean, I just see it coming.
Just like we talked, the 5A classification is
it's
always
anybody,
the big boys.
Anybody can win.
Anybody can win.
Yeah.
What's happening in Tri-Cities? Who's coming down that way?
Tri-Cities, I kind of lined it all up last week. The only thing, so I'm not going to repeat that whole story like we like to play. I'm just going to point out some things from the games that did count. If you remember me talking about Dobbins-Bennett Science Hill game, that was a championship game for Science Hill or Dobbins-Bennett 2 weeks ago. Science Hill, believe it or not, took that win. So all they had to do was win one more game. Now, even though, their season didn't look too good on the record, if they would have got that game against Bearding, guess what? They would have been sitting at number 1 playing against William Blount.
Yep.
But they laid an egg to knock Bearding. And if you remember the statement that I said, they're going to go from first to worst. And they chose worst, which unfortunately, guess what their consolation prize is?
Yeah. Let's go see Mary.
At home.
One other thing before that did make a difference was South Green did beat Happy Valley. That was a championship game. Happy Valley, same scenario with Science Hill. You win big, you lose, well, you're going to have to drop. They didn't completely drop to 4, they dropped to 3. But guess what? South Green kind of was in an unfair situation because even though they won the game, they really won the game to help Hampton. Because if you remember a few weeks ago, South Green lost to Hampton, so Hampton now cancels South Green out on the head-to-head win, even though South Green only has the one loss. So that makes that team just as dangerous, even though Hampton goes as a number 1.
Sure.
And then the other change, of course, to piggyback off the Crockett loss, Crockett, I don't know what's happened the last 3 weeks. Just 3 weeks ago, we had them touted as one of the top teams in the state. As great, and now the team that I don't know if we now hate, but I'm just trying to rhyme. But anyway, what's happened with that loss against Morristown East and with that Daniel Boone loss has now put Crockett in 3rd place.
Yep.
And now, guess what their consolation prize is?
Knox Central.
Knox Central.
The defending state champion. All right, let's go check in on Jake. He's got Middle and West Tennessee.
Well, right now we are looking at Baylor out of Chattanooga right now. Got a big win over Brentwood Academy this past week for them, 28-17 in favor of the Red Raiders. And then also they're close to Nashville looking at Pearl Cone. They're 10-0 right now, rolling along after a 28-11 win over Giles. And then they face Stewart County to start the playoffs. Stewart County just 6-4. So looking for a big win there in the first round of the playoffs for Pearl Cone, but we'll have to see what happens. Also in Nashville, looking at Marshall County. They got a big 30-14 win over Nolensville in their region championship game. Marshall County rolling into the playoffs as well, and along with Nolensville, which is now 8-2 on the season, going into postseason play. And then on down in West Tennessee, we are looking at the MUS Owls. Got a big 22-16 win over previously undefeated Briarcrest. So a really big win there for the Owls, and especially with guys like Marcus Henderson on their offensive line. Really big production for them going into the playoffs as well. The first loss of the season for the Crusaders, like I said, who start the playoffs against Innsworth in a couple weeks. The Tigers just 7-3 out of Nashville right now, but they've got a big weapon in Keyshawn Lawrence that can definitely hurt Briarcrest in the long run. Also there in Memphis, looking at the Houston Mustangs. They're still rolling at 10-0 right now. Great running back in Lincoln Pear, but they had a scare this past week. 50-45 win in a high-scoring game against Southwind, which came in at just 6-3. But the Jaguars definitely put up a fight against the Mustangs. Still not enough for that Houston offense. So a couple teams to look at this week from Memphis as we go into the postseason: MUS, Briarcrest, and Houston. So definitely stay with us as we continue throughout postseason play, and then especially whenever we talk playoff scenarios later on this week in your high school sports.
All right, Jake, Middle and West, this is setting up to be one heck of a playoff 2019.
Yeah, huge.
You've got, the thing about us, we have covered West Tennessee, so we've got to know those teams from West Tennessee and Middle Tennessee this year, because Jake has done a fantastic job bringing those schools into your high school sports. But now it's playoff time. There's some schools, Briarcrest and Houston. There's some teams over there I think will give Knoxville teams a run this year. I really do believe that. So when we come back here on your high school sports, Jake's going to join the panel, and we're going to talk Knoxville football, because five out of 6 gold balls come back to Knox and Blount County. They do. How many have? Just look at it.
It didn't happen last year, did it?
Happen you boy. All right, we'll be right back here on your high school sports right after this.
You are watching Your High School Sports, the source for football in the Southeast. Stay tuned for more of Your High School Sports.
The savings don't stop when you get on the lot at Bachman Bernard Chevrolet Buick GMC Cadillac. They just get started. How about saving up to $10,500 on a brand new 2019 GMC Acadia SLT? That's right, up to $10,500. And if you want bigger savings, how about saving up to $13,000 on a brand new 2019 GMC Sierra Crew Cab SLT? Make the short trip to Bachman Bernard Chevrolet Buick GMC Cadillac right here in Greenville, where, as always, I'm going to save you money.
Just look at all those freshly made Krispy Kreme donuts. I'm sure it makes you want one or a dozen right now. So come visit our locally owned and operated Krispy Kreme donuts in Pigeon Forge. Our Krispy Kreme donuts are made fresh daily, our service is fast and friendly, and the taste will put a smile on anyone's face. Krispy Kreme is a fundraising favorite, so call us today to help support your school or community fundraising efforts. Our delivery truck is there when you need us. Krispy Kreme Donuts on the Parkway in Pigeon Forge.
You are watching Your High School Sports, the source for football in the Southeast. Powered by Krispy Kreme Donuts on the Parkway in Pigeon Forge and on Highway 66 in Sevierville. Here is your host, Roddy Woods, along with co-hosts Chris Blevins, Chris Reddick, and Jake Nichols.
Welcome back to your high school sports playoff edition, guys. We love playoffs. Jake has joined us now because he covers Knoxville football for your high school sports and the magazine. So we figured he'd jump in here. Let's talk Knoxville football. Jake, I'm going to ask you, what is the one surprising team that you can see in the playoffs?
Right now, I would have to say,
I can tell you.
Who's that?
Fulton.
Shoot,
That's one I wouldn't want to play.
How did I not even get that?
I wouldn't even want to play.
You said you wouldn't want to
No.
play them?
Would you want to?
At 3-7? Heck yeah.
No way. With Coach Black and his winning, they've been in the playoffs so many times and won state champion. No. Don't bring Fulton Falcons to my. No. Stay away.
Granted, they had a big win over Oak Ridge. I'll give you that. And they did it without their quarterback in Tommy Sweat. But still, I would honestly, with Fulton playing the way they are right now, would you want to play them still? Personally, yeah. At least with the talent that's on the other side of the ball across the area.
Yeah, but you look at. What do you think, Chris? What's yours? What's your surprise team?
Fulton is definitely a surprise. That's a surprise. But I'm kind of like with Jake. They've been kind of up and down all year. If you're going to pick somebody to play in the playoffs, you want to pick the team that's had the worst season that started off. But yeah. Playoffs, though, is also about how hot you are at the end.
Yes.
So if you think about the most surprised team, it's probably is Fulton. But scariest team probably is Fulton too, because when you get hot at the right moment, you come to the playoffs. That's when the most success starts happening, because then you start building confidence, and then it's a one-game season.
Yeah.
Any given night, you can beat somebody. It only it's one game. You don't get a rematch.
Yeah, and see, that's what we were talking about earlier with, talking about some of these games, that looking at the bigger matchups with, 10-0 or 8-2 versus, like, say, a 1-9 team. That we were saying that you should write off earlier as a bye week. That's the thing is now, that's the great thing about it, is that you can't write it off. They have to suit up.
They have to play them. You're right. I know that's what Chris was talking about. Why would, I'm 10-0 and I'm playing a 3-7.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Why? You shouldn't even be in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But that's why
But if East can beat Crockett, anybody can beat anybody. That's not a put down on East, but that just shows you teams that come to play every day, they can beat you.
I want y'all to think about one team. Give me one team out of all 6. Say 6A. You're one team. East Tennessee, Knoxville now. Right quick.
Who's going to go all the way or what?
Yeah. Give me your one team that you think.
Chris?
I mean, I'm going Maryville.
Yeah, I'm going Maryville too.
5A.
I mean, Fulton is the one that's up and down a little bit, but I really like South Doyle.
I like South Doyle right now too. I know they've had some struggles over the past couple weeks, but I still like Elijah Young and what he's doing.
I do too. 4A, which is kind of top heavy with teams because of the Chattanooga people. 4A, I'll tell you the team I'm going to watch out for because they still have some momentum. That's Greenville.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you can't count out Elizabethton. I know Chris ain't sitting up here, but old the Cyclones are coming, man.
He's smiling.
And I believe this year that they can go as far as they want to go.
Yeah, because they do have a road that they can get to because they don't have to play Anderson County.
But we know who they're going to play, though.
Well, we don't know.
More than likely, it happens every year.
It could be because you got Greenville. They're knocking each other out. If Greenville and Anderson County at week 2. One of them's leaving.
And I know if Chris was here, he'd be scared to say Elizabeth and Greenville because he knows it's hard to beat somebody twice.
Yeah.
But I believe down inside he knows that Elizabeth can beat him again.
Your surprising game this week coming up?
Well, I mean, as far as games, I would probably have to say one out of West Tennessee right now. That's going to be Lexington and White House. I think that's an intriguing matchup.
I mean, I'll take Bradley Central and Farragut a little bit. I think Farragut might have a little instance,
Yeah.
And Chris, shout it out right quick. One game.
This week?
Yeah.
God darn it.
We may need to scrap
Happy
this.
Valley. He can't come up with one. But my surprising game, and y'all guys are going to probably thump me in the head. Science Hill, Maryville. Science Hill, Maryville. All right, for Chris Reddick, who's behind the camera doing production while Jake sits on the bench here. Chris Blevins back off the cruise. Hope you had a good time. Didn't bring us no sand. I'm Roddy Woods. We'll see you next week right here on Your High School Sports because it is playoff time.
You are watching Your High School Sports, the source for football in the Southeast.
I'll tell you what, at Bachman Bernard Chevrolet Buick GMC Cadillac right here in Greenville, we've got the savings. You want them? Like I said, we've got them. How about saving up to $12,000? That's right, saving up to $12,000 on a brand new 2019 Chevrolet Crew Cab Silverado with the All-Star Package. Make the short trip to Bachman Bernard Chevrolet Buick GMC Cadillac right here in Greenville, where as always, you know it, I'm going to save you money.
Just look at all those freshly made Krispy Kreme donuts. I'm sure it makes you want one or a dozen right now. So come visit our locally owned and operated Krispy Kreme donuts in Pigeon Forge. Our Krispy Kreme donuts are made fresh daily, our service is fast and friendly, and the taste will put a smile on anyone's face. Krispy Kreme is a fundraising favorite, so call us today to help support your school or community fundraising efforts. Our delivery truck is there when you need us. Krispy Kreme donuts on the Parkway in Pigeon Forge.